As most modern moviegoers can attest, everyone loves a good heist story. Glamorous and over the top, they always feel like something that can only happen on the big screen or within the pages of a book. Still, every once in a while, a case comes along that proves reality can be just as wild as fiction. The theft occurred on July 11, 2022, when a Brinks big rig paused at a Grapevine truck stop while transporting jewelry from a Northern California trade show to the Southland. At 2 in the morning, there was a narrow window of about 27 minutes when the Brinks truck was unguarded. One of the guards was asleep in the berth, while the other was either in the Dunkin' Donuts or Wendy's getting something to eat. The timing has led investigators to believe that this was a carefully planned robbery. The thieves bypassed the truck's locking mechanism. They used the storage containers to haul away precious gems, gold, and other valuables, including luxury watches from such brands as Rolex, Patek Philippe, Vacheron, Constantin, and Cartier. Investigators have refused to discuss the details of the locking mechanism, but acknowledged it would not be exceedingly difficult to crack. This points to an experienced criminal to work out the details of the plan, although the speed and smoothness of the job suggests that there were several people involved. FBI agents and sheriff's major crimes investigators have combed the Flying J truck stop for clues, and they have interviewed potential witnesses who were at the stop during the robbery. The security footage at both the truck stop and jewelry show has been closely examined, but if any useful information has been found, they aren't releasing it to the public. The Brinks Company is claiming that the losses do not exceed $10 million. It is natural that they would want to downplay the case as much as they can to minimize the newly shaken faith in their ability to transport valuables securely. However, those who had items in the truck are hotly contesting this claim, saying that the true number is over 100 million. The argument has become so heated that it has sparked 2 lawsuits. And given the fact that there is proper documentation to back it up, Brinks might be in danger of more than mere embarrassment. There were 15 exhibitors, each with between $5 million to $10 million in merchandise. All of them were smaller businesses, and their entire wealth was wiped out in this burglary. Most have been destroyed financially, and for several, the shock and stress have negatively affected their health. As great as the loss has been, it almost comes as a surprise to find that the thieves did not manage to get away with all of the truck's contents. Typically, merchandise is transported in a big rig with a bulletproof cab, equipped with satellite tracking and elaborate camera systems and armed guards, with the exact route kept a secret. This points to an experienced group of thieves who not only were able to pull off the job, but didn't make the mistake of overplaying their hands by wasting time trying to get away with everything. In fact, Larry Lawton, a former jewel thief that spent more than a decade in prison on convictions of racketeering in connection with jewelry store robberies in the 1990s, believes that this group knew exactly what they were doing and already had plans for offloading the jewelry before the crime was even committed. While most people believe that the heist itself is the hardest part, they would be wrong. Once the jewelry is in hand, if it has nowhere to go, it quickly becomes a liability. This is especially true for pieces with distinctive stories, settings, or history. In this particular case, the affected jewelers were interviewed with the stipulation that they remain anonymous. Every one of them believes that the jewelry has already been passed to a fence. The jewelry trade, they stressed, has a darker, more unsavory side. Fences are at the center and probably the most widely known criminal element of that type, because fences allow thieves to dramatically lower their risk by offloading stolen or hot items. They're able to purchase them from the thieves at a fraction of the item's value. Some buyers are completely unaware of the illegal origins of the goods when they buy them, while others simply do not care. First, fungible, easily interchangeable with another of a like kind items, such as loose diamonds, would be unloaded. This is easily done in certain areas, such as Antwerp, that are epicenters for such illegal activities. Rings, bracelets, earrings, and other pieces can easily be dismantled, either manually or by submerging them in a solution that can be used to separate gold from jewels. This liquid is commonly referred to as acid and causes the precious metal to soften and detach from gems. Once the jewelry has been broken down into individual components, precious metals such as gold, platinum, and silver can be melted and reformed into untraceable bars. Diamonds and other precious stones can be polished and recut to remove tiny inscriptions and other marks that tie them to registries kept by gemological laboratories. Once the provenance has been erased, the various components can then be sold to diamond dealers, pawn shops, or disreputable jewelers. This has to be done carefully because a reputable buyer would cross-check a stone's identifying information with one of a handful of laboratories' databases before completing a purchase. If no information matched, it would raise a considerable red flag. The Gemological Institute of America holds the industry standard for grading reports for diamonds. Stones authenticated by the GIA receive 10-digit numerical inscriptions that cannot be seen with the naked eye. They also inscribe rubies and sapphires, but no other colored stones. It is possible to polish off these inscriptions without any loss of weight, but it would still be difficult for a thief to resubmit a stone for GIA grading without it being detected. Since the reports are so detailed, there is every confidence that the diamonds, rubies, and sapphires from the Brinks truck would be identifiable even with their identifications removed and their dimensions modified. While drastic alterations could be made that could mask their provenance, it would drastically lower their value. This isn't the only method of disposal that the affected jewelers have to worry about. At least with this method, there is a small hope of their valuables being recognized. For more simple pieces, those might end up passing through estate sales, since there is no good way to say for sure that the deceased never owned the item. However, the jewelry is being sold, and all of the jewelers are fairly confident that their merchandise is still within the states. Transporting overseas is a much higher risk than selling locally, since even customers check private planes. There is no way to travel with one large load, and many small trips might raise suspicion. Ironically, some of the items may have even been released into the LA area itself. Sadly, since photos and descriptions of everything missing have not been released, even the jewelers involved would not be able to recognize something that originally belonged to one of their colleagues. At this point, with little information being shared by the authorities, the jewelers are holding out little hope that a recovery will be made. This also slows down the insurance process, which means time is ticking as each jeweler wonders if they will be able to recover from this or if they will lose their business completely. As each month passes with no arrest, it seems more and more likely that not only will the jewelry be lost, but that the thieves will get away with it. And while that is always thrilling and amusing when glamorized in fiction, it is a bitter pill for those whose lives are being damaged in reality. Although this is the most notable case in recent history, the jewelers have pointed out that there has been an increase in smash and grab cases in the LA area over the course of the past year or so. The violence has escalated as well, to the point where it almost seems commonplace, another factor that makes this case stand out. While everyone waits for the investigation to run its course, there seems to be more questions than answers. How long had this been planned? Usually, there are no outward signs on a Brinks truck that gives away the value of its contents, aside from the guards carrying their weapons. Was the location for the heist picked specifically, or did they just hope that the truck stopped in a favorable location? Were the guards in on it, or was one of the employees of the jewelry show? Neither seems likely, given the rigorous security measures, and it would be extremely risky given that they would be the first people that the authorities would suspect. And so far, there has been no indication that any of them were involved. In reality, the case may never be solved. It could go on to join the other famous crimes that have occurred over the years, where people theorize and puzzle over every detail, hoping to be the one to discover the answer. And while this might be an amusing pastime for the general population, it's a cold comfort to the victims whose livelihoods have disappeared like a thief in the night.
987 killers typically Chicago jewelers. He gets free when you still get